So you may have heard the term year-round homeschooling, and you might have thought, what in the world does that mean? Are these people making their kids spend 5 days a week learning and doing school lessons without any breaks? Well, that's just what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to talk to you about our family rhythm and how we operate and do year-round homeschooling. So hang out with me and let's chat. Hi, welcome back to our channel. I am Sarah Ruth, and welcome to Kindle Togetherness, where we share faith-filled learning, faith-filled homemaking, and faith-filled adventures with you. Today, I'm wanting to talk with you about a topic that has come up a lot for me in personal conversations one-on-one with people as well as online, and it is year-round homeschooling. So before we get started, if you have enjoyed any of our videos or if this topic really speaks to you, please go ahead and give us a little subscribe or put down a comment or question for us in the comment section so I know you're here and I can begin interacting with you and we can get to know each other. All right, so year-round homeschooling. What in the world am I talking about? Well, first, let me let you know that it doesn't look like doing lessons 5 days a week, 365 days a year, whatever, 52 weeks out of the year. I can't do the math for 5 days a week. 52 weeks. I could, but it would take me longer than I want to confess. Anyway, what it does look like for our family is freedom. And the reason why I like year-round homeschooling is because it allows our family, when I put in my head as the primary educator or the one who, forms our lessons and sets up our schedule and everything and determines which curriculum we're using. When I have in my head that I have an entire 52 weeks to spend on our curriculum and our lesson times, it just affords me such time, and it allows me to be more relaxed. If our state, we live in Georgia, it requires that my students get a minimum of 100 and I think it's 80 days of lessons, and they have an hour requirement and they list out the subject areas, and that's pretty much our only requirement. We have to test our students every third year. But otherwise we are free to do that how we wish. There's no start and end point except for the one we establish. So for me, if I know I have to do 180 days, and I tried to fit that into a typical school year schedule, which is the August, September-ish to May, it would kind of stress me out and I would start counting days. And I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't keep track of our days because I know, because I think of our year as 52 weeks, I know we're getting 180 days in. It's just over half the days in a year, and we do formal sit-down lessons 4 days a week. 3 days is full on, and then 1 day is a review day, and then we have a full day of our co-op, our outdoor co-op, which actually also counts as a school day. So I'm guaranteed every Thursday except for when we're on breaks from co-op, that they're getting a school day in. So there's 52 of my days right there. And then above and beyond that, we are doing our lessons 3 or 4 other days during the week. So I know that my kids are hitting that 180. And if I had to go back and count, it wouldn't be difficult to do. So yeah, I know they're hitting it. But what the 52 weeks, and by setting myself up to say we school year round, it just affords me such freedom to, if my kids are sick, give them, a lot of times we take the week off. If they're sick, we just take the whole week off and we just read books or enjoy one another's company. And I just don't press. I don't push. I allow us to have that break. Obviously, if my kids are sick, something's going on, maybe they were under stress, maybe their immune system's low and they need some recoup time and not to be under pressure to get things done in a certain manner. So I just let them have the break because I know that we're gonna be able to come back and get our time in because we have 52 weeks, right? And so far, my oldest student is entering 5th grade. He's 10. So far in these 5 years of homeschooling that I've had so far, we have never not finished our curriculum by the end of May. So I purchased a Gentle Feast. You can watch other videos on that I've made, but essentially it's a 36-week long curriculum and we always have it finished by the end of May. And if you count, it's a 5-day per week curriculum that we push into 3 to 4 days, making modifications that fit our family. But essentially, I'm saying that to say, if we do 36 weeks times, let's say four days a week, how many days have we done? It's over 120 days right there, plus our 40 odd days of co-op. We're at 160 days just with that. So I know we're hitting our full requirements for our state, which is something you do have to keep in mind with home education. What does your state require of you? Once you have that information, you can tailor your homeschool to your children. But for us, year-round education also looks like going camping when we'd like to, taking a trip with friends or going on an excursion out to Kentucky or whatever works for our family throughout the year. We just allow our family to be who we are and to enjoy life together. And it's such an important core value for me that our family has this time together to live and breathe and build relationships. And so year-round homeschooling is how that works. Now, I want to talk to you about the summer because, we live in a system, if you're in the USA, where all of the public school and private school students are off all summer long. Very few systems have switched to anything else. There are a few out there that are doing a different type of system. But for the most part, you can expect that all the public school students and private school students are off for this long, extended 10-week break. And as somebody who was formerly an educator, I can tell you that this is problematic for a lot of reasons. Excuse me. One, it's problematic for parents. Parents have to pay for childcare or camps or somewhere for their kids to go because the majority of parents, both parents work. And so if their kids are in public school, both parents are working. And so you have to find something, you can't just leave your kids at home alone. So they have to go somewhere or do something. So that is like the first issue for 10 weeks. The second issue is when kids return to school in the fall after this long extended break, there is like huge remediation that has to happen. And the teachers have to spend like the first several weeks going back over things from the previous year. Because obviously, if you don't, work at all on any of the concepts that were introduced previously or have any practice with them throughout the whole 10-week break, you're gonna be a little rusty. It's just like anything, if we don't do something for an extended period, then we begin to lose that skill or not do it as easily. Or children who maybe were just learning a skill, especially you think in math or reading, and then they have this long break, they really do regress. And a lot of times they lose that start they had. So teachers often, especially in the elementary school years, have to do these big reviews and go back over things. And there's all these assessments at the beginning to see where everybody is at. And so it's kind of like wasted time. I always felt that way as a public school teacher. And so one of my thought processes in having year-round learning is that we're not getting this 10-week break. Yeah, we take a month off sometimes. We take 2 weeks off or we go camping for a whole week. But we're not taking this extended break where our students, my kids are just laying around the house. I will tell you, the other thing is it's for my sanity. I don't know about your family, but my kids, if they had 10 weeks off, would drive me nuts, you guys. No structure at all to our day, no rhythm. I mean, boredom's good, and like I'm totally 100% behind boredom. Like my kids have opportunities to be bored all the time. But extended boredom for 10 straight weeks with no direction at all, my kids would be begging for school anyway. One summer we took like 5 weeks off and my kids were begging to start back. So for us in the summer, what I do is when we finish our A Gentle Feast curriculum, I give my kids a full week or two off. I don't push reading. Like I don't make them do anything other than like household chores and our standard kind of, you need to keep your room clean and take out the trash or whatever it is on their list. I don't even make them read, none of it. Now I read aloud to them and we still have a family devotion every day because those are things that are part of our family, but they're not part of their school. And then after that week or two, I kind of feel it out. I'm not, if you followed me for any length of time, you will know I'm not a type A personality. So it's not like Sarah Ruth has penciled into an agenda somewhere. Guys, I've tried agendas. They don't work for me. I'm not going to be recommending any planners to you. I'm not that girl. I don't pencil in a hard and fast date. I just kind of watch my children and pray. And within a week or two, we start back into a gentle rhythm. And what that means for us is I don't start our next cycle in A Gentle Feast straight away. I have a summer rhythm for my kids that includes different things each year based on, sorry, I keep touching my nose. I have allergies and it's really bad right now. I'm recording this at 6:00 in the morning. And for some reason, early in the morning, my allergies are horrific. But I create and establish a summer rhythm for my kids that includes learning and specific learning targets. And so like, for example, this year, they'll each have a checklist, and I've done the checklist now for 3 summers, but they will each have a checklist and I just modify it for each child. And actually I'm going to give you access to that checklist. You can format it for your kids. It's totally free. I do ask that you sign up for my email list if you grab it, but otherwise it's no strings attached, and you can unsubscribe if you hate my email list. That's fine. But essentially for each of my kids, I established that they must, this year, they're going to have to read every day for 20 minutes, anything of their choice. I give them options. They can just pick anything, but they must read for 20 minutes. They must write sentences according to their grade level. So my 5th grader will write 5 sentences 3 days a week. My 2nd grader will write 2 sentences. And my entering 1st grader is going to work on phonics with me 3 days a week. And then they must do something math related. And I have a lot of options for that. I just purchased multiplications times tails practice because I feel like my older 2 really need some practice with that. So they have access to that on the computer. They have games they can play, math games that I've purchased. They can even play Monopoly. I will count that. They can play Store. They have a lot of choices, but they have to do something specifically math related for 20 minutes a day. Those are the 3 things that must be done. And then those are kind of independent things they're responsible for. And then I will continue a family read aloud in the morning and in the evening, and they will narrate the morning one to me, and we'll have our family devotions. So while it's not, 3 hours of school every day, it keeps us in a learning rhythm. It keeps us refreshed. It keeps my kids working on their skills. It keeps us, in a way, doing our lessons so that my kids are ready to pop back in and they're not so rusty that they've forgotten how to read and talk about books or, how to do their math, etc. So that's where we're at with this. This is what year-round schooling looks like for us. In the summer, it's much more laid back. And I honestly don't have a hard and fast start date for our next school year. I usually just decide, when it seems to be fitting, we launch back in and we have a first day. And I love that home educating my kids allows me and affords me this freedom to be the keeper of the home, right? And to watch my children and to watch myself and my husband and to pray and to be a co-laborer with God and see what suits best what's going on in our family. The other cool thing about year-round schooling is I don't stress about breaks when they're needed. So a lot of times I start our school back at the beginning of August with our new curriculum. And I call that like our first day of school. I kind of make it a big deal for my kids just because that makes it more special for them. And then, like, within 3 weeks, we take a break and we go to the beach for a whole week. And so these built in kind of like ebb and flow of lessons is really helpful. And I feel like keeps our lessons fresh and more low key. So, anyway, if you have specific questions about year-round schooling and how it works for our family, feel free to drop them below. Or if you have suggestions or things that have worked for your family, that's awesome. I have so many friends that are huge proponents of taking a long extended summer break, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is just what has worked for our family. We definitely hit up the rivers and the lakes and the waterfalls much more in the summer months. We live in the mountains, and we have a brief, like 2-month true summer, if it's that long even, where temps are in the 80s. And so, yeah, we definitely want to be outside more. And so I don't up the rigor all summer long, but I want to keep that learning flow and that lifestyle learning occurring for my kids. All right, if you didn't already subscribe, please do that. If you got anything out of this video or if you thought it was helpful, please like it so that I know, and I will see you next time.